Hi everybody, welcome back, and if this is your first time, welcome. I'm Haddad, and today I'm the bearer of good news. But first, a story. It was 2020. No, it wasn't. It was 2018. It was off by 2 years. Oh, and first of all, no, I didn't get a haircut. I gave a haircut to myself. I hope you'd like it. 2018, put yourself in that year. The pandemic had yet to occur. Everything was bright and sunny. Opportunities were everywhere. If you wanted to, you could seize life by the horns and be and do whatever you wanted without a mask. What a concept. Unless you were stuck in a rut, whether it was a physical rut, some disability that you had not found a way to deal with to your liking, or it be some mental hang-up, diagnosable or not, some behavioral problem that you had that prevented you from living the fullest life that you deserve, that you want to live, or it be diagnosable. You go to a doctor and they tell you, yes, that amount of alcohol is too much and it's not normal. And if you can't stop, you might have alcoholism. You might be an addict. And you probably already answered that question yourself if you're using harder drugs. That's not typical. Usually people don't go, sit in a cubicle or a corner office or at the CEO's desk of some very successful company and then leave and go to the worst parts of any city and buy things that you're only supposed to get in pill form prescribed to you. And even then, it's not a great idea unless you need it. And that was me. And that was my life. And not the CEO's desk, not the corner office, not the cubicle. In fact, my only environment was the bedroom of my parents' house. Not the only bedroom. I wasn't in the master bedroom sharing a bed with Ma and Pa, like keep warm in the winter where a bunch of settlers snuggle up together. I had my own room filled with a bunch of stuff that I had collected, only a couple of which meant anything to me. A guitar that my grandpa had gotten me, and a guitar that I had purchased sort of for myself with a Social Security check because my dad is old. That's why I got the check. And I was in a rut. I had been an addict since I was young, and I was, still young. I still am young, but young, and used hard drugs and lost control more and more as time went on. And it did all the things that addiction does. I'm not even going to list them. It did all that stuff. The one I'm going to talk about today is how it ruined my relationship with the people that I loved most. There's, more than a few of them, but the main two are my mom and dad. The worst occasion that I can remember, and it's probably not the worst in my parents' memory, the worst for them was probably when I was acting out of control, whether it be chasing drugs or destroying their house. But the one that I regret most is when I threw a chair into my mom's fish tank that she had lovingly tended to for about 20 years or more, and all the fish died. I broke the fridge door off and yelled at her that I hated her, that she was ruining my life, and that I didn't love her. I even said, I love Dad, but I don't love you. My mom is a very sweet woman and didn't deserve that. And my relationship with my dad had never been strong because I was unable to connect with anyone who couldn't connect with me exactly how I needed them to. I couldn't meet anybody halfway. I could pretend to. That was as best as I could do. And, it wasn't for lack of trying on his part. And to be honest, it wasn't for lack of trying on my part, but it just hadn't clicked for me. I did love my dad. I did love my mom, despite what I said, but I didn't have a friendship consistently with my dad. We had good moments and we had awful moments. But most of the time it was a desire to feel connected to my dad in the way that I was connected to my mom. And it was, I'm sure, I can't speak for him, but a desire on my dad's part to feel the same for me. And so it didn't happen until I was forced to depend not just financially, not just for housing, but in a very deep emotional way on my parents. Again, almost like I was an infant. I went to prison and I had zero love in my life, except for a few of the people who were willing to set aside whatever life they had, whatever normalcy they were taking part in outside of the prison visitation room, outside of the prison phone calls. And there wasn't a lot of them. And a couple of them were trying, but it was more painful to interact with them than anything. But my parents were there. And somehow, some way, in that period of time that I was locked up for, and it was prison, and then, work release, and then house arrest. House arrest was a breeze compared to everything else. And to be honest, work release had some nightmarish episodes, but those were my fault. All in all, the place was pretty wonderful, and so were the people. But prison was not that. And I only was able to feel fully human because of the love that I knew my parents had for me, and because of the appreciation that I had for them finally, that I was learning to have for them finally, and the regret that I had because I had squandered those relationships for too long. I'm not taking full responsibility for that squandering. Excuse me. I'm a drug addict. I'm in recovery now. Hopefully that's obvious. And drug addiction is a mental illness, and it didn't allow me to form relationships in healthy ways a lot of the time. Some of it was my fault. Some of it I'm going to just chalk up to life is life. That's how it is. And it wasn't always pleasant. And so I learned the value of my relationship with my parents. But still, I was closer to my mom than I was with my dad. And I hate to think of, some arbitrary point system where I love them both the same amount, but I just seem to be able to get along with my mom better. But it just was the truth. I just was able to relate with my mom better. I was insecure and, still am, and very sensitive. And my mom got that. And I think my dad got it, but he wasn't able to express very well that he got it because my dad is strong and on top of it. And I've only seen him cry a couple times in 30 years. And it's not that my mom isn't strong, but it's different. And so, a new development in the story. My dad had always asked, and it had taken me a few times, but I was too impatient and too self-centered to really enjoy myself. He said, let's go golfing. I'm not good at golf. I'm bad at golf. I'm better than I have ever been at golf because I'm not high, and that's helpful. And also I just am more connected to my physical body because I'm healthier. It's just my brain has not been addled by chemicals for a minute now, so I can kind of just get it, hit the ball hard. There's technique that I don't understand that I'm not able to, perform, but I can hit the ball hard sometimes. Most of the time it'll just go like 6 inches and fall off the tee, whatever. But the best part of golf is going regularly with my dad, and this is a new development, but in a short period of time, my dad's been, I think has understood me more and more, actually, as a result of this channel. But he's made the commitment every week, no matter what, we're going to do something, even when the weather changes. And that's meant a lot to me because I always felt and thought, even if I also thought it's not true, I felt and thought I don't measure up. All my other siblings are basically completely normal in a good way and successful financially and in more ways than that in their relationships. And some of them have, kids, and some of them have wonderful marriages, and some of them are living a full, adventurous life, but still making my dad proud. And I'm just a drug addict. I'm just the kid that costs the most. that tallied up, the most bills at rehab, and that's my legacy. I'm the reason that my mom and dad won't have money when they are too elderly to work. That when my dad dies, my mom will be destitute because I couldn't get sober, and all of the money that should have been in her bank account was in the pocket of some executive of a rehab, or the medical director, or the head doctor at this local rehab near where I live that I went 6 times, so many times that they eventually said, "You can't come here anymore. We can't help you. You're disruptive. You can't try to get healthy here anymore. Go somewhere else." And lately I realized that even though he probably has gotten it for years, that he gets it, and I'm able to understand that he gets it, and feel that he gets it, and recognize that despite any other shortcomings or any other dependencies still in place on, that I have with my parents, my dad is proud of me because I never quit trying to get sober. And I kept persisting until I got sober. And that's the good news. The good news is that no matter how long a relationship has been hellacious, insurmountable, impossible, it can be mended. And I didn't know that it was mending. I thought it was the same as it had always been, until one day I realized that we had both met in the middle. We had both done that thing I was never able to do. And there are relationships that are worse than my dad and I's could ever have been, because of the person that my dad is, and the fact that I'm their kid. I wasn't their friend. I wasn't my dad's cousin. I was their kid. And so there were some obligations too that were probably helpful. He had to spend time with me. But now he wants to, and I want to. And so even if your relationship with someone is worse than the relationship I had with my dad, I got to a point with him that he's now not just my father, but he's a human, and he's my friend, someone I'd like to hang out with, and somebody I'd like to commiserate with, because I was persistent in living a better life. Not because I was persistent in calling him and forcing the issue and telling him what I needed. You don't understand me. You need to understand me for us to get along. I just kept trying to be healthier and better and stronger and nicer and kinder and more compassionate. And I'm not finished yet. But apparently it's been enough. And if you're the victim in a relationship, and it's really shouldn't be your job to be more compassionate and kind and wonderful. I can't say for sure, but I can say maybe the person who hurt you, if what they did is forgivable and safe. Don't put yourself around people that are not safe. Maybe they'll see that you are living life despite the relationship and really trying to live your life and be the best you can be. Maybe they'll notice, and maybe they'll want to be a part of it again. And that can plant the seed of the tree of Jesus. I need to try a little bit harder to meet this person in the middle. The other good news is I forgot to take out my trash because of Labor Day. My days got mixed up, whatever. And I went outside, and one of my neighbors had taken my trash out. Big deal, right? Big deal, right? I get along with all my neighbors. The one person I get along with the most, I went over, assuming it was him, and it wasn't him. And everybody I live by has, busy lives. Most of them have children they're taking care of. And somebody stopped, cared enough about me, maybe it was a stranger, I don't know, cared enough about the person living in my house, which happens to be me, and my dog, who is not a person, but a dog who I love like a person, and said, I bet they meant for their trash can to be on the curb. I bet that was an accident. And they did it for me. The last time I forgot to take my trash out, I came back out to it. It was the middle of summer. It had been sitting for days and days without being emptied, and there was a maggot colony. I don't know if they colonize trash, but they were there and populous and having a good time. Most of them were drinking martinis poolside. They had really made a life for themselves. So it was nice to not have to deal with that, because it's still pretty warm here, and I think, you know, they would have found it because it's a hot spot. There is great maggot realty in my trash can, and if it doesn't get emptied, they come back because the price is right. So thank you for listening. My channel is about a lot of stuff. Mostly it's about the good, even though there is the bad. And if you like that kind of thing, consider subscribing, leaving a like on the video, and telling me in the comments what's up with you, with the relationship, what you'd like to hear me talk about. Anything, bad or good. Talk to you soon. Bye.